10 Most Lovely Public Parks in Canada. Canada is a different and grand country, and there is no limit to the rundown of things you can see, do and investigate in the incomparable White North. Numerous explorers incline toward huge Canadian urban areas like Vancouver, Toronto, and Ottawa. Nonetheless, it would unquestionably be a misstep to skirt the inconceivable public stops that Canada brings to the table. From frigid mountain tops to seaside plant life, here are the absolute best public parks in Canada you'll need to visit on your next trip. 1. Banff Public Park. Maybe the most popular of the public parks in Canada is Banff Public Park, which is situated in the Alberta Rockies. Canada Spot is an extraordinary spot to begin your outing, as it offers data and displays about the nearby natural life, legacy, and culture. Then, at that point, ensure you walk the paths and spot the hot sulfur springs in Cavern and Bull Public memorable site. Lake Louise is a dazzling waterway with grand perspectives, and the gondolas in the recreation area can give significantly more fantastic elevated vistas. Whether you need to ski, climb, golf, or spot untamed life, Banff Public Park offers something for everybody. 2. Jasper Public Park. In the core of the Alberta Rough Mountains is Jasper Public Park, an amazing and enormous park that offers everything from mountain climbing to dazzling glacial masses. Jasper Public Park is a definitive spot to get dynamic, and there is no deficiency of outside exercises accessible to guests. Climbing, natural life spotting, rock climbing, fishing, setting up camp, and horseback riding are only a couple of the numerous choices. Try not to miss significant attractions in the recreation area that incorporate the heavenly Athabasca Falls, the amazing perspectives from on board the Jasper Skytram, and the delightful, still waters of Medication Lake. 3. Nahenni Public Park. Situated in Canada's northwest regions is the Nahenni Public Park, an objective open to most guests through a float plane. This park is a long way from the beaten track, making it engaging for fearless outside devotees. The South Nahenni Stream is a feature of the recreation area, and you can pontoon, kayak along its waters until you arrive at the shocking Virginia Falls. The Nahenni Public Park is many times picked by individuals who need to camp for the time being or go on multi-day climbs, yet road trips are conceivable via plane to see the mountains right on the mainland partition, the sulfurous underground aquifers, or the interesting snow-capped tundra. 4. Pacific Edge Public Park. The Pacific Edge Public Park is situated on Vancouver Island in English Columbia, and it is particularly separated into 3 significant segments. The segment of the recreation area known as Lengthy Oceanside is found on Wickaninnish Strait, and it is one of the most famous spots for setting up camp and riding in the whole country. In the segment known as Broken Gathering, you'll find an assortment of little islands, including notable isles like Hand Island and Cree Island. The third segment, known as West Coast Trail, is a long climbing way that stretches for a significant distance and disregards the Pacific Sea more than halfway. 5. Waterton Lakes Public Park. One of the most intriguing highlights of the Waterton Lakes Public Park is that it rides the boundary between the US and Canada. Waterton Lakes Public Park is the Canadian half, and the American side is known as the US Icy Mass Public Park. Together, the two parks are known as the Waterton Ice Sheet Worldwide Harmony Park. Quite possibly of the most striking milestone in the recreation area is Redstone Gulch, which flaunts radiant red shakes that seem to be an Arizona desert than a Canadian hold. Likewise of interest may be the Bison Enclosure, where you can recognize groups of bison right at home, the serene waters of Cameron Lake, and the strong and roaring Blackiston Falls. 6. Riding Mountain Public Park. In the Parkland area of Manitoba is Riding Mountain Public Park, which is a wild desert garden reasonable for setting up camp, climbing, and nature photography. Since the recreation area is likewise home to the settlement of Wasagaming, notwithstanding, you can in any case track down extraordinary nearby diners and a modest bunch of nightlife choices. History buffs might need to realize that the recreation area was a POW camp during the Second Great War, because of its far-off area. Assuming that you visit Riding Mountain Public Park, don't pass up the Grand Nutcases Island Trail, where you can detect untamed life like beaver, elk, deer, dim wolves, cougars, white pelicans, and Canadian geese. There is likewise a wild buffalo range situated close to Lake Audie. 7. Gros Morne Public Park. The Gros Morne Public Park is situated on the bank of Newfoundland, and it is named for its biggest pinnacle, the Gros Morne. A significant part of the recreation area is comprised of the Long Reach Mountains, which stretch out up from the Appalachians. A principal motivation to visit Gros Morne Public Park is for the climbing, which gives incalculable vantage focuses to stunning view. During a large part of the late spring, you can likewise take a directed boat visit on the waters of Western Creek Lake for an interesting point of view on the encompassing pinnacles. Cowhead Beacon is one more milestone to add to your schedule that offers an entrancing presentation with a lot of history. 8. Auyuittuq Public Park. One of the world's biggest islands is Baffin Island, which is situated in the Canadian district of Nunavut. On Baffin Island is Auyuittuq Public Park, a noteworthy objective known for its native craftsmanship, cold scene and staggeringly lengthy late spring days. Numerous guests to Auyuittuq Public Park come during the long stretches of June and July, when the sun doesn't set by any means, and it is similarly as brilliant at 12 p.m. for all intents and purposes around early afternoon. Directed visits are normal in this public park, permitting you to evaluate remarkable encounters like dozing in an igloo or taking a directed sled canine visit through the cold tundra. 9. Ruler Edward Island Public Park. As the name proposes, Sovereign Edward Island Public Park is situated on Ruler Edward Island, the main island territory with an area in the Atlantic Sea. Situated on the north shore of the island, Sovereign Edward Island Public Park flaunts red sandstone precipices that drop directly into the water, making staggering vantage focuses along miles of seaside trails. You can likewise loosen up on the sand, swim in the ocean, or camp for the time being while in the recreation area. A few memorable milestones and historical centers are situated inside the recreation area, and numerous guests will need to set aside a few minutes for a visit through the Covehead Harbor Beacon or the grounds of Green Peak's legacy spot, which the made-up Anne of Green Peaks portrayed as her home in the notable youngsters' books. 10. Yoho Public Park. A mainland partition isolates the Canadian regions of Alberta and English Columbia. The Alberta side is home to Banff Public Park, and English Columbia is home to the fundamentally the same as yet less packed Yoho Public Park. Only 2 hours from the clamoring city of Calgary, the Yoho Public Park is an astonishing holiday destination for nature darlings. Emerald Lake looks stunning thanks to its brilliant, dynamic tones, and Lake O'Hara is comparably pleasant. Other top attractions you won't have any desire to miss incorporate the normal extension, Takaka Falls and Wapta Falls.